they've got myself.
Well, we're looking at 375 tamariki plus their caregivers. Usually that's one or two parents. So now it's all that.
She written a lot of it and I give them the support. And she written quite a number of freedom modern spread organizations. So I was just wondering if they need additional support.
Right. Is that a short answer? We have suggested they might like to, but we've never had any response.
Teresa, I just head round. So you work with 8 social service partners. Are they all government funded partners?
I'd say we're partly. So we have, in this movie, we have Hospice North, Ngātahini Health Trust, Kirikiri High School, Riverview School, New Zealand Police, Plunkett, Turunanga o Ngāti Wehia, Turunanga o Whangaroa, and ourselves. So we are not at all government funded, but I assume all of the others are partly possibly fully government.
I guess my concern this year is around there's 700 identified. Is that units, whānau units? Identified and only 400 you're funding. And of those, financial state that 50% of these tamariki have actually received multiple support parcels over the years. It begs the question, I guess, what I'm thinking is that if this is repeat families, children receiving these parcels, what's been done to actually improve the situation? And how are they identified? I mean, we know we all personally have whānau and neighbours and friends who are struggling this year, and many are not doing Christmas presents or Christmas because they can't afford to. So I guess what I'm trying to get to the bottom of is when we have repeat clients that you're working with and that selection process through the agencies, what about all the others? You know, it's this.
Okay,
the same people receiving it.
It's very bottom of the cliff. How do we get to the top of the cliff and change?
And why the same people are receiving assistance each year?
So I don't think I've said that they're the same people receiving assistance year after year. What we're saying is that we know that we have 6,000 connections to tamariki over a year, but we assume that is not 6,000 tamariki. We assume that's 3,000 tamariki who are getting maybe Keep Our Kids Warm and Christmas, or the Tahi and Keep Our Kids Warm, so they're getting support from various parts of our project multiple times over the year. I haven't actually got data to prove, without spending a considerable amount of time going through data, to prove whether the same family is getting support year after year. I would assume that many of them are, because the families that we are working with are living in severe poverty. They don't have homes, or they don't have running water and electricity. They are very isolated. They have significant challenges within the whānau around health. They might be, I mean, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on. We're all struggling to some extent at the moment with the cost of living, but we can't compare what we're going through with what they're going through. And although they don't need a gift, it might be the only new thing they have. It's true. Even though they may not need. Well, actually, I think they all need the food parcel.
Thank you. And my final question is, are they all rural?
No,
So they're living in urban environment without power and water?
it would be, not all of them. So there are many living without power and water in rural areas, but they're not all rural because I know some families myself recently, Kirikiri, receive support. So, but I can't tell you exactly what percentage is rural versus urban.
Thank you. That's my question. All right, so with that, we close off and let you go and enjoy your day. We'll make our decision a bit later in the meeting. We have some other business to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joyce. Thank you.
Okay. So that's our only speaker. So with that, I would like to move that we adjourn the meeting and go into public exclusion so that we can continue our discussion we were having prior to the meeting in relation to item 7.1 on page 20, which is classification revocation of Kirikiri Reserve, lot 10 DP 62588. I will so move. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Lane. Can we confirm that live streaming is released, please? We're good to go. Right, moving on to item 6.1, confirmation of the previous minutes. I will move the following adjustments. Do I have a second? I'll move. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jane. Any alterations in there?
It was down here, page, before I was speaking,
Which page, Bruce?
on page 1.
1.
And speak.
Bottom of page 1.
There's somebody else wants to yeah, you can school.
It's the,
From the Kura. Subject to us correcting that. And just a couple of typos on page 14 under the suspension of standing orders. It should have been Bay Islands. I don't know why that dropped off. It was then we did the media, Bay Islands-Whangaroa on those two. And on page 15, item 8.4, we received the project report from the Opal Hall. Don't know that right. I think it's meant to be committee. Opal Hall committee, not hall. Would have been funny if we had got one on the hall, but. This front wasn't involved. Front. I don't get that up to a few issues with things fixing themselves when we go through the minutes. They seem to flick back to how they were here, and so we thought we had everything. We did have everything. Looking good. Things have flicked back. Okay, so with those adjustments or amendments, I moved, seconded Jane. All those in support? Against? Carried. Now moving on to item 7.1. We have the classification and revocation of Kitty Reserve. We have had quite a discussion around this, and I am
Need to move an alternate recommendation.
Member Court wants to move an alternate recommendation. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Lane. Would you like to read that?
Approve the initiation of a public consultation process under Section 24 of the Reserves Act 1977 to revoke areas of reserve under my existing retaining wall. B, agree to hear any submissions received in response to the consultation processes and to make recommendations to the Council in respect of the reserve classification revocation. C, endorse the issuance of a LTO to allow remediation of the wall to begin.
Any discussion around this?
Madam Chair, would we not start with C as that's the first step in the process?
Sorry. So you'd like C,
The intent is to
endorse the assurance of the licence to occupy to allow remediation of the wall to begin. You'd like to see that
first,
as A.
because that's the health and safety issue then being addressed. Or, and then B, do the next two. I just think that's the logical order that things will be happening in.
I mean, B,
B.
To approve the initiation of a public consultation process under Section 24 of the Reserves Act 1977 to revoke areas of reserve underlying an existing retaining wall. And then C, and then agree to hear, that should be that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board would agree to hear, we hear the submissions, correct? Agree in the community board. Here, any submissions received in response to the consultation processes and to make recommendation. So let's just move to make recommendations to the council in respect of the reserve classification and revocation.
Just to clarify,
We can cross that, yeah.
sorry, you're changing it too much.
It's been changed.
You can remove the reserve classification. So it would read, and to make recommendations to the council in respect of the revocation.
Reserve revocation.
Reserve revocation.
So take out the classification. As in respect to the reserve revocation.
I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Okay, so I will read it out in full.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I've moved a recommendation that's been seconded. I'm uncomfortable that it's been edited. I don't think it should be edited. We need to have a debate.
Yeah.
So if I can read it out again so we're clear, and I'll project, Jane. That the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board recommends that Council A, approve the initiation of a public consultation process under Section 24 of the Reserves Act 1977 to revoke areas of reserve underlying the existing retaining wall. C, agree to hear any submissions received in response to the consultation process and to make recommendations to the council in respect of the revocation. C, endorse the issuance of a licence to occupy to allow remediation of the wall to begin.
You remove those words reserve classification. I'll just read that wording to make sure. So you want agree that to take out the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board.
This is correct. Yeah.
Just in the councillor Paul, can you agree that the agree that any submissions
Agree to hear any submissions received
is in response to the consultation processes and to make recommendations to the council in respect to the revocation.
in respect of the revocation.
Right, discussion.
And speaking in support of this, Madam Chair, the only area of the reserve that we're actually talking about is the underlying area underneath the existing retaining wall. We're not touching the remainder of the reserve at this time, but I do believe that will become a conversation at some point in the future when Becca have finished the work and we can combine the processes. Agree to hear the submissions, which is what we are legally required to do, although I suspect there will be very few, maybe one from the applicant. And by endorsing the issuance of the licence to occupy, this allows Countdown to begin works to reinstate the wall. Otherwise, we will be waiting anything between 12 to 18 months before they can commence that work. And I think that's a public safety risk if we wait. That is why I'm putting forward the amended recommendation.
Thank you. A seconder?
I'm happy with it. I just want to move on. I mean,
Job done.
well, I mean, the important thing is we have a business that needs to fix a wall. Let them fix the wall. Beyond that, revocations, whether you want to call it a drainage ditch or a reserve, I'm kind of ambivalent. That's fine. So I'm quite happy to continue supporting this at the Councillor Court's recommendation.
Amended recommendation.
Yes, whatever we'll call it in this case.
Further discussion? No? We've all fleshed it out. So we're happy with that. Maureen's got the wording correct. You want me to put it all again, or you've got that? Right, okay. So moved by Anne, seconded by Lane. The amended recommendation, all those in support?
Aye.
Against? It's carried. That now becomes a substantive. Don't have to do a substantive. Thank you. Okay, so no further discussion around item 7.1. Thank you very much, ladies, for coming and discussing that and answering our queries. Much appreciated. So we're now going to move on to item 8.1. We've got Simon Millichap here in the room, so we're going to move on to item 8.1 on page 70 so that he can get on with his day, as he is the one and only
Garbage man.
rubbish man, very important, solid waste man. Okay, so we have a recommendation there in front of us that the Islands-Whangaroa Community Board receive the report update rubbish collection points for Montrose and Waimati North Road and Te Ahuahu and Waimati North Road, Kirikiri. Do I have a mover? This title? Seconded by Jane. Do you want to speak to this first, Simon?
Yes, please. I'd just like to expand it a wee bit more to basically, where should I start? Sorry, the community board, the council decided that the closure of collection points is made by staff in consultation with the community boards, and rather than come back to you each time for a certain type of collection points, I'd like to sort of roll the law into one now. This started a few months ago when Kim did the survey on Montrose Road and after a whole lot of complaints from the public, and then she produced this report over a couple of months ago. And thanks, Kim, that's all good. Over the last couple of months, some other sites have developed, like Waimati North and Te Ahuahu, and there's a couple of others. But basically what I want to expand it today is that when we have an intersection with two roads, that both roads receive collections, then there should not be a need for that collection point. And I'd like to get your sort of agreement around that today, if possible. The range of curbside services are slowly expanding over time as roads are sealed, houses are built, etc. And there are another couple of sites that have come up recently as the waste companies have expanded their services. One is the corner of Orchard Road and Stanners Road. Orchard Road now receives a curbside collection, so that collection point in my mind is no longer required. Another one is McLeod and Sandys Road. So, but rather than coming back to you each time they expand their collection, I think it's better that if we have a discussion around that today and get that sort of general agreement that, like I say, if both roads receive a collection, there's no need for that collection point. The only reason we want a collection point there is, or not what I want one, but the public want one, is people in further afield who don't have a collection may want to drop off their rubbish bags somewhere. The issue with that is for the people who actually live on those roads, it's a real pain, because there's a constant mess, as we're all aware, etc. I won't bore you with going over those details. So, as I said, there's those four sites that now have come up, the Montrose, Waimati North, that Kim has consulted on, thoroughly. The other one is the Waimati North Te Ahuahu Road. Both of those roads have collections and they're a hell of a mess. Orchard, Standards, and McLeod and Sandys. Got any questions or discussions? Or
I was waiting for you to say Onikura and Whangarei.
have they both got collections too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those last two are just ones that have come up, and if we get this overall resolution, that'll allow for us to close ones like was it Pangari and Onikura, isn't it? Yeah.
All of them, yes. It looks
Yeah.
just like that picture.
Yeah.
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 That's on a good day, that picture. I didn't pick the worst day to go and take pictures.
Yeah.
That's what that site looks like every day.
This one does too. And what's surprising me is how many people are abusing it. So it's not just paid bags now. And what do they call that?
Lights of pink.
where they dump prams and
Just general
It's
legal
actually
dump.
called illegal dumping, isn't it?
Just-
It's what
just
Roddy
crap.
deals with on a daily basis, really. It's not good. And we're seeing it everywhere. And when one bag gets put somewhere, people add to it no matter where it is. And you end up with little piles of all sorts.
I mean, these collection points, they were an all right idea in theory, but there's just something psychological about it. As soon as someone sees a bag of rubbish, I believe that even reasonable people, reasonable sort of, they're not just rat bags, they're sort of middle of the road people that's like, oh, there's always rubbish there. It won't matter if I put my bag there. But of course, that pile of rubbish is made by a whole lot of people saying, oh, my bag won't make any difference. So, yeah.
I think people just get lazy too, because if they can dump there any day, 7 days a week, they've got a place. I've got to wait 6 days to put my bag of garbage out or whatever it is. I think people just get lazy.
Yeah, and I'd like to store it outside on the street corner outside your place and put
They
my
put that
bag
down.
in my backyard.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
very much.
that's right.
Yeah.
And
I'll just make a comment on that. I can only speak for my road. Our rubbish collection is at 7 a.m. And I think a lot of people, if you're retired, are still in bed at 7 a.m. and they miss the rubbish collection. So the bins are convenient. They can drop it off at their leisure. And if you put it out the night before, inevitably the dogs have got to it. So I think that there is an issue around timing in some of our communities. But my question is, once it goes away, what's the incidence of people continuing to dump there and how do we address that?
It's varied. When I say it's varied, some sites we've closed quite successfully, and if you remember the Waikari Road, just out of Kaupapa, that was a hell of a site. And by closing the sites, I'm not saying that it's going to instantly solve it, but there's quite a few that have been closed that have worked very well. There's Fairbairn Road up in Kaitaia Way. There are quite a lot that have worked very well. There are others, like there's one near Kaio on Waiari Road. I don't even know if that was ever an official collection point, but that's been an ongoing nightmare. When you say what we can do, there's a lot of stuff we can do, but of course, what can we afford to do? The main thing is stick up a dirty great sign. That helps. The other thing we have done is try to, once we close the site, really get the waste companies, encourage them to look for evidence, etc., and try to get the monitoring department to issue infringements. That sort of helps a bit. The other thing I'm looking at in general is some surveillance type cameras on pods to try to movable ones that we can on a concrete base with a pole and a surveillance camera that takes photos and that. So see, we haven't got funding for that yet, but I'll try to get an argument to say that the money we spend on those is worth it on the illegal dumping, tidy up and all that sort of thing. So that's another option we can do, but I can't guarantee we do that at this stage. Overall though, they do work. I can't promise what's going to happen at these ones, but yeah, like I say, overall the dumping does seem to decrease over time, and slowly people get the idea. That sort of middle bunch of people I said are reasonable. They're not absolute rat bags, but they're just, I think eventually they get the message, and somewhere it clicks psychologically that they put in their bag there is the problem. They're not just, one of many that eventually they do start to realise that they're actually part of the problem. So that's all I can say. One other thing for the Waimati North Te Ahu Ahu Road, the gentleman who's mostly concerned about that, one thing he would like to council to consider is putting a roadside barrier there. It's a T intersection like this. There's a bus shelter for the kids waiting for their school buses on this corner, and there's a rubbish point that's developed there. That's a particularly problematic site because there's cars cutting the corners, there's kids waiting for buses, there's, it's a hell of a mess. And he would like a barrier to be erected on that corner to stop people cutting the corner. I've talked to the road safety people, Elizabeth Stacey, Council Roads Safety and Traffic Engineer, or I can't remember her title, but she's investigated and they say they won't be erecting a barrier there. at a site like that, possibly erecting a barrier there may help stop people, but it's $20,000 to $30,000 and ongoing maintenance costs, etc. If you had a spare 30 grand you wanted to put through it, they might be able to do it, but that's one option for that particular site. But basically, in general, sorry to get back to my point, is we erect signs, we'll try to infringe people. Looking into security cameras, so hopefully that'll help.
Thank you.
And how well do we promote the new collections?
Well, we don't, because it's not our.
No, I
business
know.
yet. And so the waste companies do, I want to say, a reasonable job. But the tricky thing about it is, for an area, say, like Montrose Road, you can do a leaflet drop off Montrose Road, but most of the rubbish isn't coming from Montrose Road. Most of the rubbish is coming from further afield. And it's like a lot of stuff, unfortunately. You know, before we passed the bylaw and said they had to put up signs saying what day collection is, everyone said, oh, it's not our fault, we don't know what day collection is. But, you know, if they post things on their Facebook pages, on their websites, on a whole lot of stuff, but unfortunately, it's one of those things people don't really want to know the truth, because just throwing the rubbish bag there, you know, they don't know, or, you know, so people don't make the effort to you know, find out what day the rubbish is. I mean, and it kind of frustrates me, because the customers do say, oh, how do we know? And the answer is, how do you know what time the supermarket's open or anything else? You get on the phone or on the website and you find out. And
Do we have the collection point? I know it's not our service, but do we put that on our website?
our collection points are listed,
Not collection points?
but no, the collection runs we don't, no.
Would it be an idea to maybe have that on the website? Just
So
to,
I would say no.
okay.
The reason for that is that they change.
I know that, yeah.
They're not particularly easy to put on a simple thing, because on a particular road, one end of the road may get a collection on this day, the other end of the road might not. It is quite complicated, and I don't think getting involved in there,
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that, you know, if you constantly give the message, because the general public go, and the council doesn't provide a rubbish service, which is true, but in fact there is a rubbish service, you just simply have to use it. This is, you know, this is where you can get rubbish. In fact, there are lots of rubbish services there in all these areas. Check the supplier's website here for the details of the collection times. If you could just list the roads, you've got that, well, you know that there's a collection on the roads. I just think it would encourage, anyway, it's just a thought.
So our webpage, when you go to curbside collections, that's the first thing it says. It doesn't say much. It says, we do not run these services. Please contact the following companies for details of collection.
Yeah, no, I get that, Simon. I'm just thinking if you could just maybe go, we have a contractor running collections on all of these roads.
We don't have a contractor running collections.
Okay.
They're not a contractor. And that is the whole, they're a private business. They are not contractors.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, I know what you're
This
saying.
company is running collections on all of these roads.
Perception as council does
Yeah.
it, because
Yes.
years ago council used to paid your rates and they threw 52 brown rubbish sacks on your section, and you had one a week and they picked it up. Perhaps we should go back to that simplicity worked, but you know,
Yeah.
I hope it won't increase illegal dumping.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
And I hope it's not going to put it. Well, it shouldn't be a cost burden on the residents, because they should be paying for their bags anyway to put, you know, in there. And I suppose my only question around this is, not knowing all these sites intimately, they're all on Seal Road network, are they?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they are, but all those roads, the intersections that I've discussed, both of the roads at those intersections are serviced.
Yeah, I know.
Whether they're tar sealed or not. I know one of them, I think it's Orchard Road, it's been relatively recently sealed, I believe.
I'm just asking that because it came up at a workshop or council meeting last week, I think it was, when we were talking about councillors were just debating road sealing and dust matrix and that sort of thing comes up for discussion. And I'm thinking, well, if there's not rubbish trucks going down there now and they're going to be receiving the service because there's no bin at the end of the road or no collection point at the end of the road, and all those residents are happy for it to go and receive the service, my only concern is, where is our linkage we know that these facilities are going, as long as the roads are sealed and it's not going to create, a lot more truck movements and dust issues. That's the only thing that I can see that would be.
Yeah, so just to
we need
speak
to be
to that, we
aware of.
don't have any way of restricting under the current bylaw of a truck going up a road
No.
whether it's dusty or not. And I would argue that it's, it's a once a week thing. It's not endless trucks going back and forth. So, I would say relatively minor, but
So what you would really want from us is that it's just automatic. When we've got a crossroads and there's service pickup on both sides, we don't have a collection point.
yes. Well, I'd like it to be that it goes to staff judgment. So basically, if there's a collection point, there's a few that just operate perfectly at the moment.
Yeah.
And if there's a collection point, if they happen to extend the service and I don't get any complaints about it, fine, let's leave it be. But basically, if there is a service on both those roads, complaints come up, rather than come back to you, I'd rather just let the staff to decide to close the thing that way. Your general agreement that if both roads receive a service, then staff can close those sites.
You don't really want me to put that in a resolution or a recommendation.
Well, yeah, I think it'd be delegate staff.
It was delegated.
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't
It got
officially.
removed from the delegations of the community.
Oh.
So the resolution that the infrastructure committee made was agree that future decisions concerning collection points are delegated to operational staff in consultation with the appropriate community board. But the consultation never said through formal, it's just consultation. So yeah, it wasn't a delegation.
So
hence when we had our teams meeting with yourself, Amy, that was in consultation. What do you want us to go out and do? Oh, we need to do a flyer drop. But we can't do a flyer drop for every single situation. Trying to do a flyer drop on Peniti Road is going to take me 2 days to walk up and down and drop off flyers. And then
No wonder you're busy.
on Truce Road, 30 houses, not a problem. So it's that agreement. I don't think it needs to be done through a formal resolution, but you do need to agree here today by word of mouth saying, hey, look, Simon, we trust in you to make good decisions. So,
And that will be recorded in the minutes.
well, it's just heads up from you, Simon, really, as to, like you've been communicating with me, it's just heads up as to if you know something's ceasing, so that we know.
Yep.
And the communities know.
Yeah, 12 minutes.
Just a few things. When you close these sites down, do you give warning to the area? Because for me, it makes sense if you're gonna stop as opposed to resorts. Then you have a closed down period that allows those who may not live in the area but live beyond that area to have some sort of transparency. The reality is, these sites, it doesn't matter whether you have them open or whether you close them, because when you have a look at it, we have a recycling centre in there, we have rubbish trucks coming in, recycle trucks coming in, and I'm still finding tonnage, not a few, but tonnage of rubbish being legal dumping. And so I've never seen a monger with so much rubbish on it. And when the fella got out there, we both knew this isn't something that just happened. This is something that went on for years. And that's the psyche then. And so we're actually working on something in Moetua. We have the skid pad, and it became a dumping area. And so what we're actually doing this year is we're doing a beautification project in that area and involving everyone we can to be a part of it, because we notice that when that area is, we keep it clean and keep it tidy, then no one dumps. The moment someone goes to dump something, like you said, trigger something in everyone, and then you go down there and there's hundreds of bags of rubbish and someone's carrying 2 dead dogs sitting in there. I say, I think the problem we have isn't actually removing the utility or the resource. The problem we have is we're not really reaching our target people.
And just to talk to that a little bit, it's beyond the closing and collection points. My personal opinion, when I first, years ago, I used to believe in user pays rubbish on the basis that if you are concerned about the environment, you don't produce a lot of rubbish, you recycle, you compost, etc., then it's fair that you don't pay much for rubbish. My view on that's changed now, and personally I think that a rates-funded system is better because, and I say this because I can afford to pay for it, but I think if we have a rates-funded system, when you pay for the rubbish disposal through your rates, the downside is it reduces that incentive to reduce rubbish. But on the other side, people who dump illegally and throw stuff in all these weird and wonderful places, if they're paid for rubbish and it's free, as in rates funded when they turn up, I would hope that a lot more of them take it to a proper place rather than illegally dump it. And that's just my opinion. But as we work our way through the waste management plan that we're reviewing now, that's the sort of thing I think we need to consider. And it's hard because there is no perfect system. And even when there is a rates-funded system, people still dump illegally, I hate to say. Other areas that do have curbside services to every household in their district, they still have illegal dumping problems, I'm afraid. But it's trying to move it in the right direction. And so, back to our collection point thing, I think having those collection points does increase people dumping illegally at those spots. And then when the middle ground of people see that person throwing a rubbish bag there, then, oh, why should I pay, blah, blah.
Is there any benefits in problems on our Facebook page?
Yeah, I was going to suggest.
Do you signpost the collection point and say, hey, this is closing down?
So on that, usually we just put up this is no longer a collection point. For the first few weeks, give them some, we don't start hammering it straight away, and the first, person who turns up, we won't start sort of enforcing stuff. There's a balance, because if you don't start it for 6 months, then people don't take your sign seriously. And I would say that I'll get the staff there looking for evidence as soon as I can. The first few weeks we'll send them a letter saying, hey, look, this collection point's closed down, please, blah, 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 But it's not about being, silly about it, but it's a slow process to close them. The more it's an aim in 6 months or a year, you've significantly reduce the problem. Usually after that time, people get out of the habit, and it's, those other sites get closed. So.
Well, if you let us know as they roll through, then we can pop it on our Facebook page. We can do it in a positive way, saying, now there are collections on Montrose Road, Te Aho Road, we no longer leave a thing, please be aware.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's great.
We can do that for you. Yep. So just keep in touch further.
So if you just let me know if you're going to close one down, and I'll flip it to Jane, and what we have is we'll assign various neighbourhood Facebook pages. So the appropriate area subdivision member will post that so that we get the word out there, and it works well for us. We seem to have conduct communication in our communities doing things that way. And push telegraph's the way to go. Everybody talks and
So that'd be good. I'll for these sites in particular, I'll get the signs made up when I'm ready to get them put up. I'll say, hey, look, these signs that you get.
Let me know. You can go direct to Jane because she actually loads the posts.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I'll use the photographs from the report. So I always accompany it with a photograph. So if you're doing a new one, take a photograph before you.
Okay, on the mess, yes. You get the note, that's no problem.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions for someone who's here?
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
I'll give you this one because I've been doing it anyway.
Yeah, good on you.
I will let it put if we get in front of these spots and we find all the mail and I will let it publish their name on our Facebook.
You do it personally. I don't do
Wait,
it on the community.
on your Facebook?
Yeah. Roddy can do it
On the community board?
Not on the Facebook. No, not on the community.
That's good.
Because that's, that name changes. We're not allowed to.
Go and ask somebody in legal.
I've been doing it and it's amazing how much rubbish
Hands are
stuff by the people who dumped it.
As Matua Roddy yourself?
Yeah,
you're
Absolutely.
yourself. Good on you. And we might even share it.
Okay, so this is moved. Tyler, seconded Jane, that the Bay Islands-Whangaroa Community Board received the report update rubbish collection points for corner of Montrose and Waimate North Road and Te Aho and Waimate North Road, Kiri. All those in support? Against? It's carried.
And so can we just have something about, I don't know how formal it has to be, but about that closing, you will?
On a motion, do you?
Oh, I don't know if I need to, I'm not the politician, we've got verbal agreement now, but.
Yeah, if the delegation doesn't sit with us, Simon,
We can have a note, about a note at the end of it.
Yeah, because it's just fulfilling that consultation part of it, and I don't know what.
Yeah.
The board could do a correspondence to Simon saying, we agree.
So if we were to put a note in under that resolution, just saying the board
staff judgment is what you would
all
like.
agrees that staff judgment
And we'd
They
appreciate
advertise.
just being advised.
Yeah.
Just be kept in the loop.
undertaking and closing of collection sites and request that we are updated when these happen.
Very good. Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks for your time. Okay, back to item 7.2 on page 29. Item 7.2, that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board name the 3 new public roads, Waiora Road, Awarara Road and Tunahiki Place at the end of Ransbury Street, Moroa. I have a mover. Roddy, seconder. Lane. Any discussion around this?
Pretty straightforward.
What to discuss?
Well, initially I did ask the question of my coordinator when I looked at their staff assessment box. The people they consulted with over for Maori was it with bearing in mind that my hapu was there, and it's like, well, they'd be consulting with themselves basically. So I just wasn't sure, it wasn't clear in there that the correct spokesperson had approved the road naming. So if you are happy, Roddy, that the right people have been involved in the process, then I'm happy. Chris Miller, Marty Honey, how?
I don't know, we discuss these quite often now. You say, before I would have had queried because you kind of spaced out, but they've gone for a purchase we call home to them, they've come back and so they're working together. And so that's the reason I said it's quite straightforward this time. You say,
That's what we like to hear.
they're brand new roads.
Yeah.
The new subdivision they created. Yeah. I think they've done everything with side of them.
Okay, move Roddy, seconded Lane, all those in support? Against? Carried. Item 7.3. The Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board name the right of way Fig Tree Lane that is currently addressed at 45 Maranui Drive, Kirikiri. Do I have a mover? Lane, thank you. Seconder? Bruce, thank you. Any discussion around this one?
Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
When they said we were going to dismiss Lemon Tree Lane because Lane was confusing, why did they then go Fig Tree Lane's okay?
With you talk about Lynn's or
Yeah,
Ngāti Rahia?
Lynn's.
Lynn's.
Lynn's went, we don't want Lemon Tree Lane because there's another lane quite close by. A tree lane. It's a tree lane. It's a tree lane. So Fig is a tree as well. And so it was inconsistent, their comments.
That was my question too.
Yeah, good question.
It's probably because it's within 10 kilometres and they have the right to.
But why do it Lemon Tree Lane and not Fig Tree Lane?
Maybe they don't like lemons.
And it's the same advice would follow for Fig Tree Lane.
Well, one should never assume.
But I guess, they've been given that opportunity to say something. About
Yes.
lemons.
So the recommendation that Lemon Tree Lane had its road type changed to way, as Oak Tree Lane is within 10 kilometres.
Trinity, is she on standby? I know she explained it to me because it's all to do with the fact that the neighbouring property is also the person who's done the subdivision. So they would approve, yeah.
Seems stupid.
Oh.
Seemed illogical.
Burumpu.
So I was going to say Karaka Lane instead.
I just thought it was curious, but I mean, I think if Lynn's aren't going to say anything about it, it's really.
Well, it says here that all three names were acceptable, so Lynn's has approved all three.
With
So
the
it says here, a response was received confirming 3 out of 3, so that's Lynn's have approved all three. Were accepted for the year's recommendation. That's
because it says Lynn Tree Way. Oh no.
Yeah, it says- yeah, it
Canvas
says
road
to
type
way.
changed to way.
Makes no sense. I mean, you know, okay.
Well, I'm not completely sure why. One reason that we have heard previously is that there's another lemon named somewhere within
10K.
distance.
Lemon Grove,
Yeah.
Tree Grove, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it could be within that distance that then they don't agree with the use of that road name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had it before.
Yeah, we've had it on a couple of occasions.
Confusion on New Road, the old road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an interesting point, really.
I know, but this is what.
They've got nothing against lemon.
Too many lemons are kitty.
We've got a report. Yeah, it's just to get this thing done.
Okay, Fig Tree Lane, Natura here has provided feedback saying that they accept all the names in the Fig Tree. Mood Lane, seconded Bruce, all those in support? Against? Carried. Okay. Item 7.4, recommendation that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board rename a private road Matatuaki Tako Road from the beginning of the Tako Papakayanga on Te Rā Road, Kaio to Tuatua Teras, Kaio. Do I have a mover?
Yes.
Bruce, seconder? Roddy?
Chicken.
If you thought you were confused over the last one, try going out this road, right? I don't know it, but it, I think it would be a courier's nightmare. Want to speak to it, Bruce? This mover?
Well, it's obviously going to be a private road, isn't it? The subdivision would be down for a day, so yeah, as you say, it's probably a courier's right there, but no doubt they'll get used to it. Yeah. Try and pronounce it, that's for sure.
So it's the Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resting place of the Walker.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's after it.
Yeah, seconder, you want to speak to it?
Should have filmed me. I think when you have a look at Tako Bay, you've got to take into consideration the historical significance of the area. And so when you have a look at Tako Bay, well, then it's the final resting place of the Mātātua Waka. And so the Mātātua Waka was one of our waka haurua. They brought our tupuna from Waiki here to Aotearoa. And so when you see that name being used in this area, you pretty much see the significance of why. Thinking that the area is pretty much predominantly Māori and having street names. If you look at Te Mata Mātuki, you got Te Mata Makapu, you got Waipuna, you got Te Oro. Those are all names that recognise the history of our area. And for me, when I see Mātātua in the year out in Tāko, it's been taking ownership of their history. You see, that's the reason why I agree with it.
Madam Chairman, there's only one recommendation anyway.
The Ngāti Rā here have been involved in the process, so it's not.
It's pretty straightforward, yeah.
Moved Bruce, seconded Roddy, all those in support? Against? Carried. Thank you. 7.5. That the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board allocates rural travel grant funding in accordance with the recommendations received from the Sports Northland as follows. We just recommendation, need an S on it. It's only one Bay of Islands College for $1,700. Remover, thanks for Tyler. Seconded Lane. Any discussion? Right.
Not
We do have Sports Northland coming to speak to us this afternoon after around lunchtime. My only query around it was well, the balance, bearing in mind there is a discrepancy, there's a balance of $1,742, that comma's in the wrong place. Is that right?
1872.
1872. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong, it's one of my magnifying glasses, so tiny. Even with my glasses on, I want to ensure that that funding is carried over into the next round, the winter round, I think it is. We can just, it definitely will be. Cool. Okay, thanks.
Other than that, well, no,
Lane, any comment?
they have their way of figuring it out.
I think we pretty much allow Sports Northland to make the recommendations.
So,
The
yeah.
reverse of that would be ridiculous.
Agreed.
Right, all those in support? Again, it's carried. Item 7.6, that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Committee will approve the sum of $5,000 plus GST if applicable, be paid from the Board's Community Fund account to the All Angels Charitable Trust towards 2025 Angels Christmas Project. I think that's 2024 it's meant to be, because it's happening before December. Is that correct, Come? Remember? Lane, do a seconder. Bruce. Lane as mover. Discussion.
As mover, it's not a perfect application. I have some queries with regards to the application. I was concerned that the recipients are far more out of our area than in our area. From, we've got about a third, and yet I look at what the other two boards are being asked to contribute. And I think they should have a look at that at some point, not this particular round. They do a lot of good work. They tend to focus a little bit, in my regard, on some areas that they maybe should be a little broader in their applications. But I'm going to suggest that we approve the $5,000.
Bruce, is seconder.
No, I'll endorse that.
You support $5,000.
Very amazing work. The dedication has got to be recommended.
I'm going to foreshadow an amendment.
Oh, yeah.
okay, I think you look at the numbers.
Te Hiku met yesterday and Thursday. They met Tuesday and they did support it. One opposed it. For 3,000 was it? And Te Hiku is being asked for 2.5 tomorrow. I think the fact that we've been asked for 5,000. I did have issues with we've been asked for 5. Kaikoi's been asked for 2.5, right? That's what it's got in the application. Three. Yeah.
Te
Hiku was 3, Kaikoi 2.5.
Sorry, what was the answer to that question?
Wasn't you, wasn't it? No, I don't.
No.
We don't know.
The answer was that I was advised to ask you for more.
Because of
So through the chair, Te Hiku was asked for 3,000
Yes.
and they approved 3,000. You have been asked for 5,000 and Kaikoi or Karen has been asked for 3,000. It's 15.
I would like to move an amendment for $3,000. Te Hiku approved $3,000. Do I have a second?
The amendment?
Thank you, Tyler. My reasoning, well, I do have a few issues around the application this year and the selection process that they go through with the agencies, that a lot of them, most of them are government-funded agencies. And the fact that the same children are receiving every year, when we know there's many children out there that need, I feel, they do say on page 25 in our additional information, it's highly likely that the same children have received multiple support parcels over the year of pie, clothes, bedding, Christmas, whatever. And I'm just thinking how we have no way of monitoring. I was hoping Peggy would be here today because we did leave an application on the table last month in relation to David Senior's presentation, and we wanted more information and clarification around what agencies spend in our district and in our region and who benefits from that, and are we getting too much into the social side of the professional employed workers. So it doesn't sit comfortably with me. They are financial in saying that, you know, it is Christmas and we do, you know, support kids, but it's the tip of the iceberg. And we as the Eastern Ward are often seen as the fat cows, the ones with the money go to the, you know, and yes, they are in our area, but if you're looking at who and where and what's involved, I think there are questions around this. We do provide each community with Christmas funding. You know, I would like to see maybe that if there's children that can't come to the domain, come to a public place, you know, it would be much more beneficial for us to bring the children to the venue so they can enjoy the atmosphere and participate rather than give them a toy at home, you know. And that's just my take on it. And I know they do a lot of good. The other thing with Board Angels is we gave them, I think, $10,000. We gave substantial money towards setting up we did with the wings, but towards setting up a space where the rangatahi could go, and particularly the rainbow rangatahi could go. And I know they have an office or premises in Getaway Drive, but I still don't know where this community space is in Kirikiri, where they were setting up this place to go. So I'm a little bit, I guess I'm hanging in limbo over transparency over what they do and how many children benefit overall from the organisation. Anyway, I'll put the amendment, spoken to it. Tyler, do you want to speak a second or two?
It's really just around, I think, what makes the fairness is in terms of the amount of each ward supports. That's what it comes down to.
And someone who understands accounts, and that's not me. Page 62 of the supplementary agenda talks about remuneration. Is it number 1,471,000? My reading page.
Yes.
62 in the additional.
62, the additional.
Yeah, whereabouts on that page?
And it talks about
It's down.
board members' remuneration, and then it talks about the leadership team remuneration.
Approximately 12 people, or 12 full-time.
Yeah.
equivalents. 100 plus K.
They are paid.
That seemed like a lot of money. Yes. That they're all on 6 figures. Am I reading that right?
That's how I'd be.
Is that their estimated cost for volunteers or actual payment?
No, that's
an actual
the remuneration in the audited accounts.
12 full TAs.
Volunteers get, I think, petrol vouchers, and they do get, you know, you would expect a volunteer to get.
So that's,
I think you're looking in the wrong, you're actually looking in the Sports Northland report from Bay Islands College. Yeah. You go back to page, sorry, but I think you're looking in the wrong one. There's no clarity between the division of the two, but if you go back to page 36, that's the beginning of Bay Islands College. So you're looking at the teachers' salaries there. But there are, yeah, I'm thinking, where did I see? I didn't read that.
I saw that they had. I saw they had a part-time.
They have management fees of $60,000.
Which is
what
part-time.
page are you on, please?
On now on page 34.
Yeah,
30, it says 32, but it's 30. It's 32 to 35. That's where there's a page, 2 pages missing.
It's a part-time administration role.
But you're right, they are very highly paid people. It's not. That's the audited accounts from the college.
So it's 36,000.
We shouldn't get
sorry.
council
I know. We shouldn't even need it. You don't even need it.
I'm still not following you. What page you on, Madam Chair?
Page 31 and 2. So
And
management
the
fees.
green print?
And the green print,
Blue, white law Weber.
green print at the bottom of page 31, it says volunteer and employee related costs, admin wages 36,801.
So, and there's 2 in here, and the cut-off page is page 38 when it goes to the rural travel fund. So
Okay, I apologise, and I do
No, that's all right.
appreciate that we're in public and
So I'm not sure what the management fees
when they
are.
roll them
That's
together like that, it just becomes a little confusing.
It is a little bit disturbing, but yeah. And so there's just a management fee.
which is it's obviously a contractor role.
There's also admin wages of 37,000 on the other page.
But they haven't rolled wages into the cost of this program.
I don't think so, no.
No. And even the gifts are largely funded by donations. It's really just food.
Yeah. It is. It's
Mm.
well, it's
I
actually
wonder if Countdown's good.
just saying.
My colleague,
I didn't hear that.
I mean, my concern was about the fact that we turned down one social service type of
Yes.
entity
Yeah,
last month.
yeah.
And I just was a little concerned that we had to be consistent with our approach.
Yeah.
But I think the $3,000 is a good compromise.
Madam Chair,
There's a lot of volunteers. Thank you, Lane. There's a lot of volunteers involved in this organisation, and they do a lot of stuff outside the district as well, and they are supported from Whangaroa. I think where I was coming from was purely and simply around where the product ends up, and if you're giving if your care package, which to 400 households, I don't know if it's persons or households, I got a bit confused there, but if it's 400, that's $124 or something each out of that money, that $50,000. It's not a lot of money to provide a care package, but in that it's mainly an essentials care package. It's actually detergent and there's all toilet paper and baked beans and stuff like that. I mean, I guess that's to free up so that they can spend their money. It takes the hardship off them at Christmas time, but I'm still not really getting it that it's we look at food banks and we're very critical of food banks, and then these things come with a recipe. Well, what if the people can't read or write? Who's monitoring that? I start to think a bit deeper into things, because then you give someone a package who lives out in the middle of nowhere, who's got no running water, no power. They can't afford their power bill, they can't afford their water, they don't have water. It's like, how are they going to prepare this guy? My mind just sort of thinks, who's monitoring all of this? It's certainly a lot on here.
And then maybe you just go perhaps rogue thinking it.
I looked at what was in them.
Yeah.
And it's essential items. It's not like we've done Christmas dinner. It's not like that where all the elders come and they all share the pie. It's not like that. It's where it's packages going out. And I just
Mints and veggies and canned goods, It's,
Well, it has to be. I mean,
what about the approach? I mean, it just I know.
I think
yeah. Yeah.
And I look at
read
this,
too much into it.
Yes.
No, you're quite right, Stacey.
I see it as dignified charity. Because you don't have to go stand in the middle of the click something and then having the public staring at you. There's a whole stigma behind it. And so when I turn around and I see organizations like this creating parcels and delivering them, well, then I understand this. I've seen many of my family stand in some of those lines. and it steals the dignity from you. And at the same time, I take it into consideration. I've known people for a long time within multiple communities that are going through things that are not really good. People who have addictions, people who are going through illnesses. Believe it or not, a lot of the medicines that I know that people take, they're not I suppose, they're called subsidized. And so you see that hardship stay with them for a very long time. And I believe that's why a lot of these organizations are still meeting the same people year after year, because sometimes people are on taking medications for years. And so they don't have money to, I suppose, to buy all the things that they need. And that's how I choose to view it, is that some of us, we can go down the shop, but some of us have issues that are beyond their control. And I'm pretty sure that with the reputation that these people have, that they check these people up. We're just going to trust them that they're doing the right thing. And from what I've seen, they've done some pretty amazing work around the communities. So I'm down more to trusting, I suppose, the ability to look at such a resource. So
Madam Chairman, so I think that I suggest you table it.
Yeah, so I have an amendment made myself, seconded by Tyler, for $3,000. Any further discussion around the amendment? And I'll put it to the vote. All those in support? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's carried. So abstention, recorded, abstain, and Graham is happy to remove. Bruce, you happy to remove the 5 tips? Thank you. So that becomes the motion. Right, moving on to item 7.7, Chairperson and Members' Reports on page 59. That the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board note reports from Chairperson Ward and Members Tyler Bamber, Jane Hindle and Amy Slack. I'll move. Do I have a second now? Tyler. I'll take mine as read, making some progress through. Now, I have to say I might have some confusion come over the RFS email. I'm sending my RFSs in through the invoice. Is that the wrong one?
So I don't raise your RFS.
Apologies. Apologies. So is that coming to you? I thought it was going, this is me, I thought it was going to a special person, more special than yourself, who was dealing with all elected members' RFSs. I'm wrong there. Okay, I got the wrong end of the stick on that one.
So if you need an RFS raised, you can either ring call centre or
Do ask us.
to ask us.
Okay, so
I've been doing it wrong too.
Yeah, I've been doing it wrong.
So,
I thought this was a new
apologies,
RFS.
because I actually thought it was that we were special and that we had an elected.
We are special, madam.
You are, just not.
And
That's
we're
your
getting
RFS
all
raised.
our,
Apologies.
That's all right.
the EM support portal is so good though, because you get a ticket number.
You can check where it's at.
Yes.
You get it.
You can
You
make
can
comments
track
on
it.
it.
You can track it on the Teams.
It's like being able to look in the RFS system.
And I love getting a number straight away. So
I'm not changing though.
I know
Sorry.
it's an ID number. So is that putting a burden on you?
No, so I just want them off to ask us anyway, and ask us raises the
Just
RFS.
creating more work.
Yeah. What you do send through to me for RFSs though is if you need any escalated, and then I can get on the phone and be like, well, hold on, what's going on here? Can we have an update, etc. So once they're in the pathway system through Ask Us or the call centre, then we can start following them up for you. Obviously not that day.
So we don't come through you, we just come to you if we're not getting satisfactory. Thanks for that clarification, because when I got your email back, I thought, okay, so you send more often. I'm like, I'm not doing
that's
this.
fine. That's right. I just want them to ask us. And
Yeah, well, that's why I've got all this list of new numbers rather than RFSs, because I've been.
So the other thing that you can do through EM support though is if you want information on the agenda or any council
Weekly reports.
Yeah, yeah, you know, just general questions, that's fine, come through EM support.
Because you can track it.
Yeah.
Easily confused when things get changed.
While you're on that subject, Madam Chair, I used the Moerewa laundromat as an example. So I never CC staff email addresses ever to the customer. But they were out there. And I wrote to Roddy in the end and I said, the email traffic, Roddy, we've got to get on top of this. Because they were sending them to about 5 or 6 people in the organisation. And it was overwhelming our staff. So I just raised that because I'm sure nobody in this room does it, but I think it's really, really important that we respect that boundary.
Yes.
That we just go through the Ask Us or the EM portal and we don't share with the customer, the staff email, because it became overwhelming. So I wrote to Roddy and I said, can we have one point of contact, Roddy? I don't mind if it's you or Pamela, but there just has to be one point.
I think that's the issue, isn't it? Because you have someone who's speaking to every part of council, which she's a community hero, so she pretty much already has everyone's email before it's very perfect even came to think, because she's such a dominant and that's a pretty representative within the community. And so she's created her own ties to them. And so one thing I noticed, you can tell her to stop and we should stop for 5 minutes and be back at it again. So, yeah.
I just think we have a role to play too, because
We do.
what happens is, I won't use that one, but if you've got a whole bunch of people that are concerned, there are other examples, then they're all firing off emails, and suddenly there could be 100 emails in play. And one yesterday, someone tried to drag me into one that Belinda's over, so I rang Belinda, old Belinda rang me, and so what I'm going to do is go back to the client and say, Belinda's got it, thank you.
That is one of the great things about the fresh service, so EM support, is that you can start grouping them all together as well. So with the laundromat one, for example, 100 emails and tickets actually just became one ticket, and then that way we could reply and update all the elected members and those involved at the same time. So you weren't having to try and, you know, oh, I have to remember to do this one and this one and this one and, you know, 100 different tickets. Actually, we can just combine them and make sure we get one clean message out.
And those threads come.
Yeah.
Someone tags you in them.
But do appreciate you pointing out, you know, staff contact details.
Anyway,
100 emails to staff don't help.
We should put you in BCC.
We all got involved into the web. I'm glad it was.
We have read.
Anyway. Okay, my report is read unless there's any questions there. Okay, Tyler, moving on to you. Any questions for Tyler?
And for Tyler, the Kerikeri Sports Complex road issue. Are we actually got someone looking at that?
I don't know how to. Yeah, no, I don't.
So is that one that we should raise through the EM portal? Yes.
Yeah, how do we escalate that or get there?
Some of them I know, but they just be month after month. I don't think anyone's got their eyes on them.
No. And the Waipaka Hall one,
That's
are we going to get?
in works.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, Jane. See placemaking?
Placemaking, community response plan. Pretty much my life.
do I dare ask what's happening with the Okiato speed consultation? Is that likely to be something that's going to be reversed?
Okiato, no, we haven't even started that yet.
No, the consultation, are we doing the speed limit?
We've done that, yep, that's finished.
The signs up?
No, they're only in the
The
consultation.
consultation been done, yes.
Yeah.
So, what I'm asking, Badly, is
There's no money to
Will
do
that-
anything.
will the signs be installed?
No,
There's nothing.
well, we haven't had the, and we haven't had the council conversation, but there is no money to do anything other than consult.
I think your better question would be, are kitties coming down because they have had these signs up and their speed limits changed? Yeah. Whereas Russell hasn't had that.
No, and we won't until there's some money.
The
not
new
in the
rule
budget.
is out. The new rule is out.
Yeah,
now.
that's right, and that makes sense. So but the thing is, you still got to consult whether it's the old rules or the new rules. So all of that's the consultation stage.
I understand from the deputy mayor that a report has been prepared by probably Elizabeth Stacey to come back, because it's not quite as black and white as the media reported it to be.
Is it Ericsson or
Well, the media were reporting that every road that had its speed
Oh, yeah.
altered since January 2022 needed to be revisited. That's not the case, but it is the case for State Highway.
Yeah.
And it is the case for every road that had its speed limit reduced because of a school. And it is the case if it's an arterial or feeder road, but other roads, no. So we need to wait for that report to come back so we can understand the scale of it.
But that's all the historic stuff.
That's all the historic stuff,
It's
but
been
it will
done.
have a bearing on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Moving forward, and while there may not be any money, there will be a lot of signs that will need to be changed, I suspect.
Which is what
So we can repurpose, we should be able to repurpose signs.
Yeah. So the whole thing is that we've got the consultation underway, so we know what the community wants, and that's the third step.
Just in regards to the kitty category, the perception that's out there at the moment is obviously that, oh, well, they're all going to get changed. And what a waste of money it was. That's incorrect. That's unknown.
Yeah.
It's unknown, but there will be changes.
Some of them are likely to have.
A lot of them will change.
Yeah, okay. Because
So
a few
what
of them
we
are
do-
probably arterial or feeder roads. Or whatever, right?
Kerry Road, Waipepper Road, Kapira Road are what they call arterial feeder roads. But whether they will change or not, I don't know. But all the schools will, yeah.
Through the chair, we all hear the feedback. What is the dominant feedback I get is the confusion. Where you've got one side of a road at one speed limit,
Yeah, and
the
the
other
other
side
one
of the road another speed limit, or
colleges, there's
you're
like
doing
that.
a certain speed limit on that road, and then you're being asked to accelerate the new speed limit that's still, lower. So it's not so much the change that seems to be annoying. It's the inconsistency. But I don't do it, that's you.
I think from my discussions with what could tell you, there's going to be roads turned back. However, where it can be proven that it's essential for that speed limit to stay down, they will remain. I got something for that.
I haven't read the new rule in its totality yet because it's 59 pages long. I've had it skimmed.
Yeah.
So we need to wait for that report because it will be a resource.
Right. Moving on. Any other questions? Jay? No? And Amy is not here.
Speed limits.
Yeah.
Amy's actually at study. His study day coincided with today. Unfortunately, she had a few clashes this year. So I moved myself, seconded by Tyler. All those in support? Against? That's carried. Good. And
Chair, before we leave, can I just raise one other issue? It's just timely that Roddy's handed me this. So I sit on a number of voting committees, and through those committees, we were advised that NZTA audit for safety cameras in New Zealand, and between 1 and 20% of vehicles captured on those safety cameras do not have number plates that match the vehicle.
Yeah.
Between 1 and 20% of the vehicles captured on those safety cameras. Now, I'm going to assume, for the sake of the argument, that means cars snap speeding, but I've asked for clarification on that. The worst safety camera with the 20% is ours. And I have been sent a multitude of
Bodies, actually, it's bodies.
So 20% of those cars, so I've raised that with Senior Constable Neil Barton, and he said we've got a bigger issue than that. He said in Northland, a lot of people are suspending their registration and then continuing to drive. So people that don't pay or don't have a legal vehicle are not contributing their fair share of the funding to the NZTA buckets that we use to fix the roads. And they're not paying tolls, and we don't know that those vehicles are safe to be on the road.
And
So
then
I've
they
been very
complain
busy.
about the road quality.
Yeah.
I have been very, very busy. I've been to the Kitakiti Police Station. I've been to the Automobile Association. I've spoken to Automobile Association head office in Wellington. I've written to all the MPs. I've spoken to several MPs. I've spoken to the Mayor of Kaipara. I have been sent so many photographs. I'm now keeping a dossier of cars, and I have this morning heard back from police.
Very scary on our notes.
I've got this very long letter, which I'm not going to read out, but it's come to me from the Superintendent Director of Road Policing at Police National Headquarters, and they are investigating. I just wanted to let you know that I have been very, very busy toiling away behind the scene, primarily because I think there are two issues. One, it's not fair if 80% of us are paying for the roads and 20% of the people are using the road and not contributing. I don't think that's right. But there's a road safety issue here that we need to get on top of.
I'm sure we pass cars like that every day. Or they pass us, I should say.
Pardon?
They're not insured.
Well, there's a combination of things. There's a combination of stolen plates, a combination of people manufacturing their own plates.
Some vehicles.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things going on, and I know times are tough, and penalising people isn't always the answer, but turning a blind eye to it, scary that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Right,
Yeah, we've all just got
we're all just thinking possibly one in five
Well, I
vehicles
think
that passes us.
The next time I get a post on the Facebook about the state of the roads, I might just use that as a response.
I don't think they realise how dangerous a position they put themselves in. Ultimately, there is a way to catch them. But it's something that I oppose as the chairperson for 10 minutes. As we know, the camera isn't just a camera. It has the ability to facial recognition. But I am pleased to be done the Gazette.
It's a massive job.
It was one of the things that I didn't want on the camera because I didn't want weaponized technology in the community.
Yeah.
Well, AI is just moving forward in leaps and bounds, so we're not going to have a choice, are we? Right, our final item here, 8.2, that the Islands-Whangaroa community. Oh, sorry, did I?
No, we done the
vote. Oh, can we put the minister reports to the vote?
We did that.
Myself, second. That's good. 8.2, that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board received the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board October Open Resolution Report. I'll move. Do I have a second one?
Yeah.
Jane?
Thank you. Just as an update on the reserve management planning program, the consultation and engagement has been done. Robin has come up with a new plan and she has shared it with both Roddy and Healthy Families as part of that project. She would now like to share it with yourselves and have a workshop to get any feedback you have before putting that plan out to the wider community. So we were just wondering if next week would be okay, because she is hoping to get it out there Tuesday. So it's not Tuesday. Oh, you know, Tuesday. We were thinking Thursday.
Can't do Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I'm not back till November.
Okay, so maybe we go off the following week then.
I know for that. I think I'm awake.
Right, we can do you.
Okay, that's great. Glad it's moving on. I see they need an extra field. For the sports field.
Anything on the request for a report from legal domain? Christmas.
No, you said to December, so, and the resolution.
Okay, so there being nothing else on that, moved myself, seconded Jane. I'll put that. All those receive the report. Against, that's carried. And I will ask, Roddy, would you like to close us with a karakia, please?
Te mata te tama te wiru tapu me ngā hene, ona me te māngai te tukai. I te māngai, o me te kawara wana te kawara. Ni ngā tangata pato, ngā kotai me te pukamutu gani te mahi o te rā, o te matu o te tama, te wiru tapu me ngā anahira pono me te māngai, tautuku mai. Whai.
Kia ora, Roddy. With that, thank you to all of those who joined us online for a short, sweet meeting today, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.